But what I do want to get into is what he said in relation to the transfer situation. So if I pop this up on the screen for you here, there is talk, and this is what Mike Keegan is saying, there is talk that no matter what, no matter who takes over Manchester United's budget will be restricted due to, and I'll read this out exactly what it said in what he said in his article here. UEFA have introduced new rules last June. Clubs cannot spend more than 70% of their total income on transfers, wages and coaches and agents fees by 25-26. For this season, that figure was 100%, falling to 90 and then 80. United spent more than 200 million last summer, a figure that went well beyond what they had planned in an attempt to give Ten Hag the tools to make the Champions League. Inside the club, they now have a bloated squad, and they admit that, and accounts released earlier this year revealed more than 300 million outstanding in transfer fees. To put it in simple terms, United's budget depends not only on the takeover, but more on players' sales. They've got to offload players to increase their budget. Instead of Declan Rice and Harry Kane, who would present a simple situation, United have got to get creative. They cannot go out and buy all these players, no matter what happens, because of restrictions that are incoming and, you know, poor transfer activity in recent years. Look, I sort of disagree with this, but I know it's coming out from the club. There is this constant, I've seen it in The Athletic, we've seen it again here. I don't disagree with it, and I sort of understand what's going on. You can't, that's 70%, 80%, 90%. Basically, you can't spend, if your revenue is 500 million, and your transfers and everything is 400 million, you've only got 100 million to spend, because that's the difference between your revenue and your expenditure. How do you, well, you increase your revenue for a start, and you reduce your spend. So you need to offload wages and offload the shit, and you need to increase your revenue. Well, you can increase your revenue quite easily by clearing off the debt, because, you know, that is money that's going out of the club. You can increase your revenue by qualifying for the Champions League, which we've already done. You can. What we need to do is the reason I disagree with this, and look, basically the line that's coming out is that United cannot spend loads of money on transfers even if they get Qatar. But it's bollocks. Look at what Todd Bowley's done at Chelsea. Like, it's bollocks. You can get creative. You can come out with all sorts of structures around how you're going to pay the transfer. You can come out with all sorts of ways that you spread it out. But most importantly, and we've been saying this for a while, if the Glazers stay, they've got so many things listed as assets against the debt that they would never say to Harry Maguire, we'll pay off your wages, go and play for Wolves. They wouldn't do that, because he's listed as an asset against their debt. If that debt gets cleared by Qatar, which it will be, they'll go to Harry Maguire and they'll say, we'll pay half of your wages and we'll take 35 million for you from Wolves. That's 35 million profit into Manchester United, but it's also his wage gone off as well. You've removed something that will create space for something else. That's basically what you're doing. Man United, if you think about your living room and you want to get you want to get a new sofa, a new TV, you've got to get rid of the old sofa and the old TV. But what United do is they're like, oh, I don't want to get rid of the old sofa and I don't want to get rid of the old TV. I just can't afford to do all this. It's messing with my head. It's twisting my melons, man. And actually, what competent owners do is they come in and they go, right, this player's not really part of the plan, is he? Let's get rid of him. And, you know, Murta or Arnold go, well, we can't get rid of him because we paid £80 million for him and he's on 200 grand a week. Do I give a shit? Eric, do you want this player? No, he's not part of my plans. So why are we bloody keeping him then? If we don't want him now, we're not going to want him in a year. It's still a mistake. And this is what United do. They don't face up to the mistake. They look at it and go, oh, Marcus Rojo, Eric Bailly, Harry Maguire. They go, oh, Jadon Sancho potentially. Well, we spent so much money on them. They're on big wages. We can't just let them go at a loss. But they're not going to suddenly be good in a year. Every month you keep them, it becomes even bigger mistake. Like, at the end of the day, it's a mistake today is a mistake tomorrow. You need somebody to come into that club who's got the money, who can take the hit and start removing it. And that's how we can get creative. Because if we got Qatar and they said, write Martial off, write Maguire off, write McTominay off, write Henderson off, write 3 or 4 others off, then your transfer spend comes down, which means you can spend more anyway. Mark, what with Sheikh Jazim, I really think we will dominate England again, considering we're the biggest club in England, says Tony. Nosk, welcome to the members club. Sorry for interrupting the flow, but curious if you saw Haaland's interview after the winning the Champions League and asking Henry how he can improve. Yeah, fantastic, Luke. Absolutely fantastic what he said. And he also said, I'm only in my early 20s, so I will get better. Can't trust United to work on multiple deals on top of outgoings based on past windows. It's so frustrating, says Jose. And also... Well, look, you know what, Luke? I'm glad you interrupted, actually, because I don't know whether you saw Marcus Rashford's interview with England, where he said that Manchester City's treble has basically given him and the players more motivation next season to stop them. I think that's a real positive. I think it is a real positive that they're finally acknowledging that, because the sad thing is, if they're motivated to topple City because City have won a treble, where was that motivation in the FA Cup final a couple of weeks ago? Because it was Man United against Man City, and they didn't get the memo. Like, I'm not blaming Rashford, I'm not blaming Bruno, I'm not blaming Ten Hag, but they didn't get the memo. So if they've finally got the memo now that they're motivated to stop Man City because they've won a treble, well, happy, joy, you know. But why didn't we get that memo a couple of weeks ago? So look, I think it's a positive that, you know, like Luke says, you listen to people like Haaland, they want to get better and better and better. Our players just need to, you know, be consistent and actually be motivated every single game. The Ferocious says it's just lip service. Well, whether it's lip service or not, at least it's publicly acknowledged that they need to motivate themselves better as a set of players, because, you know, it's not like we couldn't have stopped that treble. Can the budget increase with a Qatari takeover, says No. Yes, it will. Well, it will naturally increase. Of course it will naturally increase, because that's just naturally what will happen. We'll have more money to spend. But let me